All right, we are going to get started. It is 7:02, so people will join us as they get the opportunity to do so. So thank you again. We made it through day one and super excited for day two. This is where we get into the action of the do it phase, right? Phases. So I am looking forward to it. Like I said, we had a great session earlier. People are super excited to see how AI can be used to help us implement action. And we can go ahead and jump on in. All right, so action time. So I'm not a movie person, but I did pull this image because I wanted to know it is ready to take action. We are blowing stuff up today. So today we are going to focus on, first of all, let's welcome back, of course. We started here. This is where momentum starts. What you can expect today. We are going to identify the actions that actually move you forward. So, of course, we did all the work over the last 2 days. I hope you had the opportunity to go into the workbook, right? But we are going to build simple, sustainable steps instead of overwhelming plans. So oftentimes when we think of action and we think of planning, we think of this huge, elaborate plan that's going to get us from literally here to California to Timbuktu and back. We're not doing that. We are literally making an action plan that's small steps that will get us moving and building that momentum, right? We're going to choose habits and moves that match who you're becoming. So, of course, we looked at who we are today, what our current reality is in light of the change, right? And we also identified our posture for 2026, so who we want to be, aka who we're becoming. And so we will align those habits and movements that will match who you're becoming and create momentum you can carry into the first 30 days of 2026. Again, momentum is huge. Momentum, you start from standstill, right? You're starting from nowhere. That was our ground zero. And then you start picking up momentum by taking steps. And as you start moving, then you can start moving quicker, right? And that's how momentum is built. And then lastly, we're going to leave with a direction, not a perfect plan. And that second half, not a perfect plan, is key. Again, what you'll understand is it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect, and that is okay. So specifically the agenda today, the last two phases of the do it change method, implement and transform. Part one, so implement with intention. Intention, we'll get into that in a minute, but that's a key word here. Part two, transform and become. And part three, the AI, right? So we are definitely bringing in AI, how it can help us in the second half of this. And we'll close with a 30-day momentum map. So this is, again, going into 2026, fully informed with an action plan. We're not doing New Year's resolutions. We're not abandoning them. What we are doing is a fully informed 2026 self, right? And we have a plan in order to get us there. So a quick recap of day one. So what we did, we looked at discover, again, what our current reality is. And then we went into own, which was identifying our posture for 2026, right? So as we know, after Tuesday, that we have choice, right? We can identify what we can control and we can choose how we meet the change. And this change that we're talking about is going into 2026. So how we choose to meet that is our posture, right? And that's some of the activities that we did in the workbook. So we revisited the moments, patterns, and postures that you identified, what 2025 was and what 2026 is going to be. Bringing forward the insights that matter for today's work, right? That was the whole point. Let's be informed. So when we go into action, we know what we are actioning, right? Highlighting what shaped your year and what you chose for 2026. And lastly, anchoring the clarity and posture you created yesterday. So I would like to take a moment and I would like some volunteers. Please use your raise hand icon. And we can just jump into a little bit of the last 2 days, right? So we started this journey and then we had time to go into our workbooks. So if anybody would be willing to share, I'm giving the opportunity to please volunteer. If not, I just have to pick you. So get ready. But if anyone would like to share any insights that they've had over the last 2 days, or maybe even from the first session, and who is jumping in? All right, I'm gonna have to pick. So Caroline, I'm gonna have to pick on you tonight to start. Yeah, you knew it. She knew it was coming.
Yeah, I
All
did.
right, from Canada. Hi.
Okay. Well, I hello, good evening, everyone. I think it's good. It's been good. It makes you really think about, what you've been doing. And I know I needed to change a lot of things for a while, and you kind of get in this sort of rut or, complacent. You just kind of stay the same. So it's good,
Mhm.
like making you really think about what you need to do, look at 2025, and then try to do things differently. I know you said we're not really doing resolutions and stuff, but I was already thinking, there are things that need to change, right?
Yep,
So, I hope to
absolutely.
implement some of the things that I'm learning here to help me better, like, like manage my time and just like everything. And, like, you don't
Mhm.
have to say yes to everything because right now, whatever I'm doing is not working. So I gotta
Yep.
make some changes to
Yeah.
better like work-life balance and just, family life and everything. So,
Yep.
and well, I didn't get a chance to do the AI as yet, but I want to go
Mhm.
in and kind of see. I think that would be really interesting to see what AI has to say after I plug in all the information. So, yeah, it's been
Absolutely.
good.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Sorry to pick on you there. But yeah, I hear you completely. With life, we're juggling a lot, right? And I know that you said the implement phase, and that's what we're going to get into today. So we've identified it, and that's the thing. Oftentimes, yeah, we can see it, we know things need to change, but we don't know how. So it's bridging that, right? So understanding, we did the plan, we're like, okay, I get it. Now let's actually map out those steps and start taking them. So thank you so much. All right. So next on the list, Natalie. I know I saw you trying not to make eye contact. I saw that.
I was trying. I failed. I failed. Hi guys,
Okay,
happy
you're-
so I was flabbergasted. I was shocked out of my brain when I asked AI to do the reframe of my posture.
Mhm.
And it literally pointed out everything that me and my therapist talk about. And it just like, I'm like, you're a machine. How are you doing this?
Right.
And this was a piece that I want to share with everyone. It reminded me that I am still human, that I'm still going to make mistakes. So even though my posture was very positive and forward thinking, it reminded me that I needed to add room and wiggle space for humanity, right? Because we do mess up. We
Absolutely.
don't always succeed. There are failures. And so my reframe of my posture is so much softer, which was
Nice.
exactly what I needed and kind of gives me that wiggle room to still be human while focusing on how I'm showing up in the world. So it was incredible. I told
Nice.
you after class, I was like, I'm so scared my AI knows me too well. So my
Right.
therapist would be happy, but I'm really excited to kind of put some of this into action because it doesn't have to be so hard. It can be gentle, right? We can have focus with gentleness and compassion. So thank you.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Natalie. No, that was perfect. And you're so right. That is one thing. So I was actually I have to do, videos and people trying to get into my head and how I came up with the method. And so some questions were asked to me. And one of the questions was about change. What is one of the biggest misconceptions around change? And you spoke to it 100%, right? Change, people think it's like, okay, I've decided to change, I'm going, right? And it's just a straight line, everything, because I made a plan and because I decided this is what I was doing, then, in 3 weeks, I'm going to see the change. No, that's not how it works at all. The mistakes along the way are all part of it, right? It is there are peaks, there are valleys, that is change. And I think once we manage our expectations and manage our mind around that, like you said, it doesn't have to be that difficult, right? It really doesn't have to be that complicated once we truly understand what the change process is. And when we align, we know that our feelings, I know people are like, oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm just so hesitant because that's natural. Your body naturally resists something that it doesn't know. It's supposed to do that, right? And because it's supposed to protect you, it's keeping you guarded so that you just don't go doing all types of craziness, right? So it's your body is doing something. It can't determine whether it's a good change, a bad change, or anything like that. Your body is reacting to protect you, right? And so it's perfectly normal. Again, when you're feeling like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, or I'm mad at myself because I didn't do it right, or whatever the case may be. All of that is normal. The imposter syndrome we hear all the time, all of that, again, is just being human, which is what you said. And it's okay to be human. And it's okay to now tap into chat to help you figure out that you're human, because honestly, it provides a lot of context. So, of course, we're going to get into it about AI a little bit more, but all right. Let's see. I know where did Sue jumped off camera? I don't know if Sue jumped off camera because I know she's multitasking. All right, here we go. Hey, Susie. All right. So I was just asking any insights from over the last 2 days, from the first session into where you are now.
So I love hearing both Natalie and Carol Ann because I'm kind of what Carol Ann is, where I still have to go in and do everything. Hey, Carol, with AI, which Nine, you've been telling me for so long now, like just go and put it in there. And I don't know if it's just fear of like what's it's gonna, what it's gonna spit back out that I was been a little bit hesitant, but hearing Natalie and her story is like, all right, I'm gonna go through tonight. I'm putting it in there. Um,
Mhm.
but I think these past few days have been very eye-opening in time, like taking time to reflect and taking time to really just pour into myself. And I think the fear often is that we don't hold ourselves accountable, but I feel like the direction we're going in makes it less scary, right? So taking these little steps by steps make it
Mhm.
feel like, all right, it's not going to be something that's so drastic that once you get going, you automatically are like, all right, never mind. I don't have time or I
Yeah.
don't know where this is going. So I feel like activity one, activity two, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to just sit and like, wow, I hadn't thought about what my highs and lows of 2025 have been, right? I haven't thought about how has this impacted me emotionally, mentally, financially. Like you just don't take time to really think through all of what we do because I said it last time, we're on autopilot, so we just do,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
So we don't think about what has worked, what hasn't, So I'm just grateful for this opportunity. Tonight I plan on sitting and playing on AI to see how, what it's going to tell me about myself. And hopefully
Yep.
it's nice and gentle, like Natalie said, so I'm not like, so thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Sue. And it will, what I found, so one thing to know, the way that you engage with AI is how AI will engage with you. So that's actually really interesting. And of course, Monique can speak to this because this is totally her lane. So I'm just speaking from a personal perspective of how I've engaged with it. So you can literally tell chat what voice to have, right? So some people need tough love, right? So it's like, chat, give me the real. I need to know. Don't sugarcoat it. Get straight to the point. You can talk to chat like that and we'll say, all right, if you want it, I'm going to give it to you. And it will literally give it to you the way that you asked for it. And then others, of course, Sue, I know you personally, Natalie as well. We're really hard on ourselves and have extremely high expectations of ourselves. And, that perfection kind of looms over us, right? And so chat actually will identify that and will speak to you in such a way that's like, hey, you need to give yourself some grace, right? Like, take a breath. It's okay, right? And so it's very interesting how it's intuitive, but how you can also prompt it to engage with you in a certain way. So I know there's a big shift. So we're actually working on doing do it change method for AI, which is that mental shift of how do I leverage and incorporate AI, right? Because it's a big change. And I always say that AI is basically like where we were with internet. Remember internet? It was like, oh my gosh, you're not using encyclopedias anymore. Like everybody's like going to be dependent on the machine, right? And so that mental shift is now required because we are now in that next huge, big change technology wise. And that thing is AI. So thank you. Thank you for the insight. And like I said, let me know when you do it because I know you're going to be surprised. I can't wait. All right. So thank you so much for sharing. Let's keep going. All right. So implement with intention. We are off on day 2. So implement equals turning choice into aligned movement, not rushing, overloading yourself, or jumping into action you can't sustain. So rushing leads to misaligned action. That's such a key, right? And I think part of what you're saying, rushing or just again not tapping in, right? So what we're just talking about autopilot. When you are when you rush, you don't give yourself time to really take aligned steps, right? You're just moving, right? So you haven't even really thought about what you should be doing, and you're just doing it. And then autopilot, similarly, right? It doesn't really align because what are you aligning to if you're just moving, right? You don't even know what you're aligning to. So that's why, of course, that first half is really important so that we don't just take steps. And now we're just burning energy, which we all know we don't have energy to burn, right? Because we have so much going on. So we need to be effective in the way that we're moving. Overloading leads to burnout. Sure, I don't have to explain this. I know every last one of us have been burned out, whether it's in our job, whether it's in life, whatever it is, right? Let's not overload ourselves. Busy work drains momentum. This is a big one that I think a lot of people don't even realize. And chat actually helps you identify this if this is one of your pain points. Busy work. So you're just doing and doing because you're trying to stay busy, but you're really not accomplishing what you should be accomplishing, right? Again, one, you don't know what you should be accomplishing because you didn't go through the actual steps, right? But two, you're just, again, let me try this, let me try that, let me da da da, right? But that drains your momentum. And then you jump into another thing, right? Because you haven't completed this. So now you don't even have momentum. You completely stalled momentum in one aspect. You jump into another one. And so busy work is really ineffective. Like some of us don't like to relax. Some of us don't like to sleep. Some of us are like, I just have to stay busy. But again, you're not really being effective when you are just doing for the sake of doing. And then unrealistic expectations collapse under pressure. So this is a huge one. If, you know, many of you have had conversations with me, something that I say often is manage your expectation, right? It is so important for you to set realistic expectations, because when you set unrealistic expectations, you are setting yourself up to fail. It's not even possible. Like you are setting a bar that's here, that's not even possible, right? And not even here, it could be there to the side, whatever it is, it's unrealistic because it's not aligned, right? With who you are and who you're becoming. And so it is literally just an expectation that you have put out there that you, again, chances are aren't going to be able to meet it because it is out of your reach, out of your purview, and it just doesn't make sense, right? And so managing your own expectations, understanding that, again, we talked about, you know, mistakes. That's part of managing your expectation, knowing that you're going to make mistakes in whatever movement you're doing. You're going to make mistakes, right? Something that I described earlier, which I think is key, and this imagery always hits me. A child didn't learn to walk by thinking about it, right? A child learned to walk by trying, right? And as parents, we sit here and we say, oh my gosh, come, good job, oh yes. And you watch them fall and you're like, oh, I hope they don't hurt themselves, right? And then you're like, get back up, you can do it. And we literally watch our child, or anybody's child, because all of us have seen little people walk, right? They're clumsy, right? We know some kids haven't grown into their head yet, so they're falling all over the place, right? So, you know, all types of stuff are happening. But the point is that they're doing it. And then once they get that momentum, right? Now they got it. Left foot, right foot. You see them, they're building that confidence, building the confidence. And then next thing you know, they're running and you can't even keep up with them. And you're like, wait, come back, right? And you're chasing the child all over the place because they've built, now they understand that they can do it, right? But they would have never known that they could do it if they didn't take those first clumsy steps, right? And even in the clumsy, I know, so one of most of my children actually, so they would start taking steps and I'm like, oh yes, got it. From now on, they're walking. And then they would just stop. And I was like, why aren't you walking again, right? And then they start walking again, then they fall back down. And I'm thinking like, oh gosh, why are they still so clumsy, right? You're thinking like, oh, they should get it. No, like if you think about that imagery, that's exactly how it is. We're trying something that we don't know yet. We're pushing ourselves in different ways that we are unfamiliar with. And so again, it's going to look clumsy. We may stop. And that's another thing too, right? I know that we were talking with Caroline, you were saying that, you know, you tried certain things and you know certain things and then you stop, which is okay, right? It's okay because you may just need to recalibrate. That's part of it. That's part of it. You can't beat yourself up for that. You need to recalibrate. You need to reset. Like, okay, is this something that I want to pursue right now? Is this something that I have the capacity to pursue right now? And then you go back into discover, right? So the thing again about the do it change method, it is something that grounds you wherever you are, right? So if you stop the change, you're trying something, then you can go back into discover, and then you go back and say, okay, so this is how I'm going to own it. This is how I'm going to do it, right? And then you start taking the little steps again. All of that is the change process, and it's okay. All right, next. So why implement matters? It's a clear decision. A clear decision means nothing without intentional movement. Implement helps you build confidence through consistent steps. We were just talking about that baby walking. Strengthen your chosen posture. This is what I have chosen. This is my decision, right? Implement, and these are the steps I'm going to take so that I can see that to fruition, right? It creates traction that reinforces identity. Once you start building, right? Once you start moving, then you are good to go. Once you start, you just can't not do it. You have to start somewhere. Move at a sustainable, self-honoring pace, right? This is huge. One, sustainable, which again is those managing expectations, right? Sustainable is something that you can actually keep up with, right? Don't set, and Sue, you said it, where you think like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I'm full speed ahead. So I went from 0 and now I'm driving 80 miles per hour. It doesn't happen that way. That's not sustainable. And you also can't stay at 80 miles per hour through life, right? So sustainable is key. And then self-honoring. And I know that we've tapped into this. A lot of us, again, we're doing so much for other people. We don't take the time. And so we have to get this done because, I don't have enough time. I have to go do this for somebody else. No, you really have to take the time to honor yourself, right? And give yourself that capacity and that room to move at your own pace. No expectations. All right, so we are going to take a poll right now. All right, let us jump on in. It is coming up. Give me 1 second. We're getting that poll in order. Here we go. It's usually easy if you have your phone, you can take the QR code so that you can participate. All right, here we go. Talking about momentum. What usually slows your momentum? Is it overthinking, over planning, over committing, or altogether just avoiding the first step? All right, responses coming in. Ooh, overthinking. Yep. Overthinking looks like, oh, it's taking lead by far. We're a lot of overthinkers tonight. Yep. All right. We're going to go ahead and end the poll so that you can see the results. And you'll see it's kind of by a landslide, right? That we have overthinking. And you know what? The thing about this is I think we do all of these, right? At different times. So it depends on the change. It depends on the season, right? We, again, can all, I think, find ourselves in these. But overthinking, I mean, that's such a huge one, which also kind of ties into all of them. And I know, like, I need to educate, right? So it's like, okay, in order for me to feel comfortable moving, the overthinking means I have to get this certification, I have to get that license, I have to read this book, oh, and I have to take that class. And oh, now that I took that class, now I need to know more, right? So it's like a constant, like, I have to get all of this stuff. And then I'm in my own head. Who's going to trust me? Who's going to think I'm credible? Who's blah, 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 right? And so you're just thinking about way too much. And then I go and I see someone on Instagram and I see them blowing up and I'm like, I know I have way more, whatever that thing is, right? But people are doing it. And why? Because they didn't overthink it. They're just like, I'm going to do it, right? And they did it. And again, I'm sure it looked clumsy at first, but they built that momentum. And so here I am, judging and saying, oh, but I know I'm this, that, and the other, but I'm thinking about it too much and I didn't just do it. I literally sat there and talked myself out of it, right? While other people are talking themselves into it and they're doing it. So overthinking is a big thing. It's good, right? Thinking, of course, is good. But overthinking really can be an enemy of ours, right? So, all right, next. Now we're going to jump into activity. So thank you for taking that poll. And we're going to go into guided activity 1. And we have 3 categories of movement, right? So we have our high value moves. These are actions that meaningfully shift your direction. We have low effort momentum builders, simple steps that create traction quickly. And then how does that support your movement? These are daily or weekly practices that reinforce your progress, okay? So the examples, as you can see, 1 is in black and in black consistently throughout. So it shows you in 1, 2, and 3, example 1. And then the second example in that kind of orangey brown color is 1, 2, and 3. So let's start with, we're going to do the example 1, start a new service, project, or initiative, right? So that's the high value move. I want to start a new project, right? The new project I'm going to start is, what project do I want to start? I want to start a community service program, right? To help others in need, right? And now's the time of season giving, right? And I want to start. This is where I want to start from ground zero here and build my momentum throughout the end of the year so that by December, I have a fully baked program, right? Where next year, 2026, I can help those in need. All right, so Spend 15 minutes per day, my low effort momentum builder. Spend 15 minutes per day refining one component. So as again, I think Sue alluded to, she's saying like it's so big. It can be so big. It can be so massive. And I think that's part of what scares us or brings in that fear of actually moving forward, right? So instead of making it so big and making it like, well, I want this and now I have to do all of the things in one go, right? Spend 15 minutes per day. If you're spending 15 minutes per day kind of thinking through it, I'm just going to take my time and just kind of think through this project a little bit. What does it look like? Who am I impacting? And asking those questions, right? Once you start doing that, and as I said, with movement comes clarity, right? Not just thinking about it. So you're thinking, you're like, okay, if I do this 15 minutes per day, it'll start to come clearer, 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 right? And now in that shift, so by week 3, your movement, those steps are going to look different, right? And it's just going to start again building on each other. And then the reflection habit, so habits that support your movement. Reflection habit, end of the week, what moved the project, right? So it's a look back. So at the end of my week, I've spent 15 minutes every day, right? And now this is a habit that I'm building that at the end of every week, I'm going to look back and reflect and see what did I accomplish this week? What habit am I forming? And as you start doing that, again, it just becomes natural. At the end of the week, you're going to take your time, you're going to do that. Accountability is also going to be big in that, right? You're going to start holding yourself accountable because you know what's coming up. So you're like, all right, well, I better get my 15 minutes in because when I reflect, I don't want to sit here and say I didn't do it 3 out of the 5 days, right? So these are the different ways that we start to build momentum by these little steps. Notice it 15 minutes a day. Doesn't have to be anything grand, huge, small steps. We're taking baby steps, all right? So you have your workbook. We are going to spend 5 minutes. Again, of course, as you know, 5 minutes, it's not enough to get through the whole thing. It's just so that you get moving, right? And then you'll do the rest on your own. So it is 7:28. I'm going to come back at 7:33. Go ahead and jump in your workbooks, and I'll see you in 5 minutes. All right, we have 1 minute and we are coming back on. All right, so we are now going to jump right into the next activity, which is building on the last, right? Build your 30-day momentum map. So what simple aligned steps can I take in the next 30 days to reinforce my posture and direction? So you're going to use your workbook to identify weekly priorities, list small daily or weekly actions. You're going to track your consistency. Obviously, we can't track tonight because we didn't start. And check your momentum, okay? So use your workbook. Again, you just went through the 3 categories of movement. Now let's go ahead and map out some actual priorities and then the small actions that we can take, okay? And we're gonna do another 5 minutes. Actually, let's do 6 minutes on this one, so we'll come back at 7:40. All right, we have 1 minute remaining. So now we are going into our last and final phase, which is transform. And so Arnetta actually is going to join us. And she is going to take us through transform and become in 2026.
All right. All right. Thank you, Janine. So transform and become in 2026. Let's talk about it. This is the action step. So what is transform? Transform, where the internal shift becomes visible, where your posture begins to shape how you live, lead, and show up for yourself. So transformation is not about a sudden change. It's about the natural outcome of consistent, aligned action, to Janine's point earlier. And I say that to say, you have this big goal, right? But you have baby steps that you need to take in order to achieve this huge goal. And what I think we do is we often just rush out into it. We don't stop and plan. And this whole workshop is about you taking a step back and setting yourself up for success so that you can reach your goal and have it be achievable and not overwhelming. So when transformation happens, the transformation is going to be recognized after. So it's going to be in hindsight. So when you notice that you're moving differently and you've implemented those small changes that led to big results, that's how you know that the transformation has happened. Your choices start to reinforce your identity. Your habits align with who you are becoming, and your posture shifts your behavior. You feel different because you are moving differently. So yesterday I said I was going to be a mix of Wonder Woman and the woman, not Wonder Woman, Michelle Obama and the Woman King. And this is true because you know what, guys? I am an overachiever with imposter syndrome. Imagine my life and what goes on in my head, right? So I have all these certifications. If I get curious about something, I go get certified in it. And you know why I do that? Because I want to speak from a place of knowing. I need to be confident. That's just how I'm made, right? But at the same time, I will have 3 certifications in the subject and have the audacity to think I'm not good enough. Like, where does that come from? So we all struggle with something, and that's my struggle. So that's why I feel like I need to be the lion, the woman king, because I need to go out there and get it, be serious about my business, protect myself, all of that, be strong, confident, all of that. But I also need a bit of Michelle Obama because I need to be calm, level. She says when they go high, when they go low, we go high. I don't know about that, but I need to at least stay level, right? And that is my goal because I'm high strung, as you guys can probably tell. So we're going to get into guided activity number 3. These are the micro shifts of becoming. Think about a small change you make in like your morning routine, like getting ready for work, that gives you more time or that makes you more efficient. A small, subtle change that had a large outcome. So what are the small signals that will show me I'm becoming this new person that I envision myself to be? We're going to list 5 to 7 observable micro shifts, small things that lead up to the big goal, right? So examples are how I make my decisions, how I speak to myself. For me, I'm going to stop all this negative talk that goes on in my head because I have 3 personalities, but just one body. So yeah, I need to stop the negative talk and the imposter syndrome. And the last one is how I hold my boundaries. This is big. Some people are people pleasers, and they will take on to the point where they are completely overloaded, overwhelmed, and still somehow pouring from an empty cup into others. So this is where you set boundaries. You set boundaries with your time, with how much you take on. I believe in helping people, but don't help people to your detriment, right? So what does this shift tell me about who I'm becoming? 5 to 7 observable micro shifts that will lead you to your goal. We're going to take, it is 7:45. Let's take 5 minutes and come back at 7:50. guys, we got about 1 minute left, so complete your thoughts before we move on. Hey, hopefully you guys got to finish your last thoughts. I know that's not enough time to get through the full exercise, but remember that the workbook is yours to keep and you can continue to go through it. All right. So now we're going to have a quick poll to see where you guys are. Give us just a second. We'll get the poll up for you so that you can cast your vote. Has anyone thought of a simple change they can make that would add time to their day or make them more efficient? Something small you can do? Okay, so we have our poll question now. Where do you see the first signs of your future self emerging? So would it be in how you respond and how you make your decisions, how you hold your boundaries, or how you talk to yourself? Of course, I've already admitted that would be mine. Or how I move in new spaces. Oh yeah, that self-talk is taking off. Boundaries trying to catch up. All right. Oh, how I respond. Mhm. Okay, so it looks like most of you guys are going to change how you talk to yourself. We have how I respond and boundaries right behind it. And then the last two rounding out are how you make your decisions and how you move in new spaces. Right. Food for thought. Okay, we're going to move right into guided activity number 4, the future identity snapshot. This is a good one. If someone met me for the first time in mid 2026, how would they describe me? This question hit me because I'm like, how would they describe me now versus how I would want them to describe me in 2026, right? So I know the first thing is there needs to be less of me to love in the 26. I'm working to lose weight, walking with intention every day. I try to get my 10,000 steps in because I'm serious about getting this extra weight off. You know, it's not cute. I can't fit my cute clothes anymore. So I'm really working on it. That's what I am trying my best to do. So think about that question. How would someone you meet in mid 2026 describe you? What do you want them to say? All right, this should be in your workbooks, and we're going to give, I got 7:53. Yeah, 7:53. So we'll come back in 5 minutes at 7 minutes, 8. We'll come back at 8 then. You get a little more time with this one. Okay, guys. So with that guided activity, I want to align your focus just a little bit. So complete the following statement. So this version of me is recognizable because. So how are you going to recognize yourself? What is going to make you recognizable? Anyone have a
Sorry.
question?
Yeah, the 2026 version of me is recognizable compared to
Future version.
2025.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. 2026. Are you with me, Natalie? Yes.
No, I'm actually struggling with this one because I'm trying to be unrecognizable, right? Not 100%, right? I want to be shifting. So I don't know how to answer.
So that's okay. What I would advise is to think about what's going to be different then. What do you want to be different in 2026? That may help you narrow it down to where you don't have the exact picture of what you want people to, how you want people to describe you in 2026, but you can put down how you want to be described. Like, what do you want to change? How do you want to show up in 2026? Is that better? All right. We have 4 more minutes, guys. Okay, guys, we have about 1 minute left. And just to remind you, Janine has dropped a gem in the chat for you. You're going to think through the process initially or figure out what your bullet points would be. And then you can always use chat to help you. And Monique will take you through the AI portion. Okay, guys, can you believe it's 8 o'clock already? So that was a thinker, right? You got to put some thought behind that one, but it's a great exercise to do, and it's going to help you allow yourself space and grace to set yourself up for success for 2026. Please remember to finish your exercises. Again, it's just going to help you grow and transform into the person that you want to be for 2026. So next, we're going to have Janine wrap up our session, and then we're going to move over to AI, where you guys can see how it can help you with this very exercise.
All right, I am on. And so the guided activities, I know, like I said, the last one, I don't know if you saw my comment, it is really tough, right? But what it forces you to do is to see yourself in a different light and through a different lens. And that's critical, right? Remember, what you put out is how people are going to receive you. And so when you think through this and you're like, this is how I want people to see me, if your actions start to align, right, with that version of yourself that you want people to see. So it's a deep thinker, but again, the exciting thing is that chat can help you navigate that space. Funny, because when you put it in and you see the 2026 version that chat helps you lay out, you're like, oh my gosh, wow, that's me. That can be me, right? And so again, I think you'd be really surprised when you follow the prompts. And one of the things really quickly, as I hand it over to Monique, so chat is what I call it, right? So because chat GPT, so that's my nickname. And I actually talked to him like, hey, chat, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I talked to it. I was on a panel. This was back in August. And it was, I think, 4 or 5 of us on the panel. And we were talking about AI. And everyone started saying that they named their chat like different things, right? So one of the ladies on the panel names her chat Greg. So I can't remember her reasoning why, but I was like cracking up because I'm like, Greg, like so random. But Greg is her chat's name. So we have all types of names, and chat actually will start to respond when you say, hey, I'm going to name you Greg, and you're going to respond to Greg, and it will respond to Greg. So get creative. Think about what name you would like to name your chat and have fun with it. I need to be more creative because chat's too simple, and I'm realizing everybody's calling it chat. So I need to get a little bit more creative. So we had a Ziggy earlier. That was a cute one. Yeah, somebody said that their chat is Ziggy. So, all right, we are going to hand it over to Monique. Now I see it even gives you a picture of it, what it looks like, if you ask. I love that. I need to do that. I didn't know.
All right. Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome back to day 2. I am going to share my screen so that we can just jump right in. All right, so a brief recap again in regards to how AI can play a role based on day 1 and day 2. AI is just simply a tool, and it does what you want it to do. You are in control. I think there's a lot of miscommunication out there and just propaganda about how AI is taking over and it's going to replace everything. But really, it's you that is in control. It's not about AI being in control. So with that said, I'm going to ask you all 2 questions. Give me just a moment to bring it up for you guys about your experience with AI and just being comfortable with AI. So the first question that we have here, so I guess we will not be doing a poll, unfortunately, for these next 2, but it's okay. We will move on. So let's just jump right into it. So at the very beginning of this, Janine had us go through your guided activity of your 2026 action pathways. So what we're going to do is what you came up with for that particular activity, we are going to incorporate AI and ultimately spit out what you call sequencing high value moves. And the whole idea behind that is we want you all to take a huge goal and get the first few tiny steps ready. We can't emphasize this enough. Arnetta has said it. Janine has said it. A lot of us have like these big major goals, these dreams and things like that. And we're just because of today's society, I would say instant gratification or just wanting to get the change now, like now, or tomorrow, or at least by next month. But what we want to let you all know, and we're not discouraging you wanting to take big leaps or anything like that. But in the meantime, in between time, especially to actually garner true successful progress, we need to take tiny steps, okay? And so that's what we're gonna do in this regard, and especially with your first activity. So again, what we want you to do first, so pull out your favorite AI tool, whether that's ChatGPT, that's the easiest one to get started with, Gemini or Claude, sorry. And for your first input, before you put in your prompt, you want to identify one of your 3 high value moves. So again, in that first activity, you identify 3, you want to identify or use just one. So a prime example could be, my high value move is to start a new service for my clients by the end of Q1, okay? And this is a big goal that's meaningful and it shifts your direction. And in fact, this is something that I actually shared with both Arnetta and Janine yesterday, because again, as we mentioned before, or I'm not sure if we did that in the first group earlier today, how we are accountability partners for each other. And so I was announcing, okay, this is what I want to do. This is a pivot. This is something, a new service that I want to start introducing to the world. So once you do that, what AI is going to process is that it's going to turn the big goal into smaller actions and then helping turn goals and visions into a clear sequence-based step. So again, identify one of those 3 moves, put that in the AI tool, and then right below that part, you're going to put this prompt. Turn this big goal into a clear sequence-based list of the first 5 steps I should take this week. I need them to be simple and actionable. And in fact, I would even encourage you all to, once it spits that out, I would do it again and say, what are the first 5 steps I need to do today or this month? So that you compare and just have just this overall plan of what you need to do. And basically what is happening once AI processes is that you're going to be left with an immediate to-do list, which helps you start turning choice into aligned movement without overloading yourself, right? Because again, we're focusing on those tiny steps. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, or the first activity. The second activity that Janine had us do was all about building your 30-day momentum map, right? And again, it's all about simple aligned steps. So we're going to bring AI into that and have it spit out a 30-day momentum map design. And the whole idea or goal behind this is to create a 30-day plan that reinforces your 2026 posture built on simple, sustainable habits. So when we are introducing AI to this is what we want to do. Number 1, again, take your favorite AI tool and tell it your chosen posture. So for example, that could be bold. And then a habit you identified, which for example, could be tracking spending for 1 week to notice patterns. And once you do this, what AI is doing is what you are doing, is that you're providing AI with your identity and necessary behavior. So again, you're going to input your posture and your habit, your chosen posture, and a habit you identified. So you put that first, and then below it, you're going to put this prompt. Create a 4-week, 30-day momentum map, include the weekly spending habits, and suggest 3 small daily actions that reinforce a bold posture. Now, for you all, it could be something different, right? So you might not have bold, you might have grounded or softened. And then the 3 small daily, include the weekly spending habit, you would replace that habit. And, I have spending here, but it could be something else for you all, right? But ultimately, once all of that's input and AI starts doing its processing, what it spits out is it allows you to start moving because you have a map for the first month of 2026 to create momentum that you can carry forward. And again, as a suggestion, I would even say 30-day, 60-day, 90-day. So you have that first quarter plan, right? So it's good to have a 90-day in advance. I would say maximum 6 months. I think a whole year is a bit too far stretch, but those are just some suggestions for you all. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit and actually go back to yesterday, okay? So yesterday we did a pattern recognition exercise, and we're going to incorporate AI into this so that you can develop or create what we call identity-driven troubleshooting. The whole idea here is that AI is going to help you troubleshoot obstacles that could arise. Because I feel like also when we're in our planning or we're in that dream stage or that dream high, if you will, saying, oh, I want to get all this stuff done, we naturally don't think about like the failures that could happen or friction or anything of that sort, or even just looking at like what we're used to doing, or we know that we self-sabotage, we know that we procrastinate, we know we do all these type of things, and we need to plan, right? And so the whole goal behind this is using AI to help you plan before obstacles happen and based on your old habits, okay? So I actually really like that Janine has that as an exercise to kind of give us a wake-up call of our patterns, right? And recognizing the patterns that we have. So the first step in this is you're going to state your weakness. So for instance, in you all's case, refer back to, if you can by memory, or look at your workbook, but use a pattern that you discovered during day one. So one example is, and please let me know if any of you are guilty of this, because I am definitely, and I think we saw this in the poll, one of the polls we did, but my weakness is overthinking. When I get nervous about a decision, I delay progress by analyzing things too much. So I would put that first into my favorite AI tool. And then the step next after that is putting in this prompt, but basically you're asking AI for a strategy. So the prompt would be right below that. Once you state your weakness, you will put this prompt. Using an if-then format, generate 3 prevention strategies to handle this overthinking pattern, reinforcing my decisive forward-thinking posture. And basically what you're doing here is that you're asking AI to give you a strategy, and the AI is going to suggest specific concrete responses, again, because AI is not emotional like us, okay, like us human beings. So an example could be, based on this example, is that if I catch myself overthinking a decision for more than 10 minutes, then I will immediately choose the 80% solution and take the next step. So that's an example, right? But whatever AI spits out to you, the whole insight about this is all about building resilience, right? You are practicing sustained momentum by having a plan for failure or friction. Because again, I can't stress this enough, when we're in this grand idea, or even just in the state right now for this week, right? Day 1 and day 2, I know you all's gears are turning, but we're not thinking about what could happen if failure happens, friction, some of our old habits or patterns come into mind. So we're using AI to help provide clarification, but more importantly, strategy behind that. All right, so we're going to go back to now, because this is, again, is a review of us looking at day 1. So coming back to day 2, there was a activity that Arnetta walked us through as far as your future identity snapshot. Okay, and once we bring AI into this, we're going to create what you call your digital visual identity anchors. And the whole idea here is to create a quick image that captures who you are becoming. As I've stated before, I'm a very visual person. So I love doing things like this or playing around with chat. Mine is called Jerome. And I also have if I use the app and I use the voice. So I will say my Jerome voice sounds like a Black man. So I just love how he responds to me when I say, hey, Jerome. And he's like, what up? So anyway, let's get into it. So step 1 is stating the identity. So you're going to input your desired future identity description. So for example, I'm going to give you is, I am confident, intentional, and grounded. And basically, this is the internal shift that you want to make invisible. Of course, you all's different identity description will be different, but you're going to put that first in your favorite AI tool. And then right below it, you're going to put this prompt. And I want to stress here, I have it in parentheses. You want to do this in an AI tool that is an image generator. And at this time, I would suggest, and especially for the sake of this workshop, to only work with ChatGPT and or Canva if you have access to Canva to help you do this. Gemini, you can do it, but you got to use something called Nano Banana, and that's a whole nother ball game. And then Claude is okay. They're better at creating like charts and stuff, but based on this, you know, you want to use an AI image generator tool. And this is the idea, the prompt. Yeah, just a second. There's a prompt, and this is the prompt: generate a powerful conceptual image representing intentional and grounded confidence as a digital wallpaper abstract art style. And the reason why we're doing this is we're having AI and help it use as a tool to instantly generate a visual anchor for your identity. And whatever it spits out is your transformation, and you want to set that anchor. So basically, this is allowing you to set an image as a phone or computer background, and this acts as a constant reminder, helping you sustain identity-driven change by visibly reinforcing your future self. Now, I see that we have a hand raised, so Natalie, go ahead and mute yourself and ask your question.
Can you repeat the question you asked us to have ready before we put in this prompt?
Sure. So the first input is stating your identity. So you want to input your desired future identity description. So for example, the example I provided is that I am confident, intentional, and grounded. So whatever internal shift or desired future identity you want to make visible, that's what you would write first. And then you put this prompt right below it.
Perfect.
But that was a good question.
Thank you.
Confident, that was just an example. Okay, I am confident, intentional, and grounded. Yeah. All right. So the next and final prompt that we're going to go over here is guided activity 3 under transformation that Arnetta walked us through, and that is the microshifts of becoming. So we had you list 5 to 7 observable microshifts. In fact, this was a hard exercise. Even I was saying, I don't know how to answer this myself, right? And then I know some people were saying this is a tough one. So we're going to incorporate AI to help you define those observable microshifts. And the whole idea here, the goal is to translate a big identity statement into small, once again, daily behaviors. Everything is about taking these small steps. And so we can't reiterate that enough, as you all can see. So for this particular prompt, the first thing you want to do is state your identity shift. So state the identity line from your grounding statement. So here, and again, for what you want is something that is a core belief shift of yours. So an example is, I am entering 2026 as a person who chooses progress over perfection. Anyone perfectionist or deal with perfectionism, I am definitely one of those people. So this is like a great grounding statement, right? So you would put that first, okay? And then below your favorite AI tool, you put this prompt in. Translate this identity shift into 4 small observable microshifts related to my behavior, such as how I make decisions or how I hold boundaries. And what this does is that AI is helping you translate identity shifts into small, consistent behaviors. And what happens here is that it provides, with those concrete behaviors, here's an example that based on what I said, or no, not what I said, but something else, right? Because I said I was saying all about choosing progress over perfection. So an example could be, I will send the email when it's 80% complete instead of waiting for 100%. Remember yesterday I talked about or asked if anyone who avoids sending a tough email or responding to one for 3 days, right? So instead, I could look at this and say, well, I'm going to change this and say, you know what? I'm going to send it when it's 80% complete. And whatever AI spits out, it's going to help you recognize the shift, which is ultimately transformation. So by seeing these small signals, you will be able to recognize the transformation that is happening because your behavior and choices reinforce your new identity. All right. So that is the last prompt, but I have an extra bonus prompt for you guys. So yesterday I ended with a prompt for you guys that was a visual. So I'm going to add another one to put on top of that. So we're putting a bow on top of everything because, day 2 focuses on transform. Well, sorry, the I and the T, right? So implementation and transformation. And so, however, part of that was transformation as the T, where the internal shift becomes visible. And basically what we're going to do is create a visual that brings to life the future identity snapshot that Arnetta walked us through and reinforces the high value moves that were identified. Because ultimately what we're doing is we're creating a picture of the scene where your transformation is visible in mid 2026. So again, this is 6 months out, the furthest that we would recommend of doing all of this. And we're going to use AI generated imagery. All right, so bear with me here because this is a couple of steps here before we actually put the prompt into AI. So the first step is, and again, we will provide this in the resource, in the replay and all of that, but let me just describe this to you. So step 1 is all about the first thing you're to put in your AI tool, and it's best that you put this in an AI picture generated tool, so ChatGPT or Canva. But the first step is defining the scene. So you're going to state where you are, you're going to state where you are, which is your setting, and what you are doing, which is your action, that incorporates a high value move. For example, sitting at my desk, closing the deal, or leading a team meeting with confidence, right? So sitting at my desk is the environment, the setting that I'm in. And then what I'm doing is I'm closing a deal. Leading a team meeting, right, is where I'm at. So like at the office, but I'm doing it with confidence. And what this does is it anchors the transformation in a real world scenario and reinforcing consistent behavior. So that's step 1 of the input. Then you're going to do another input, and that's all about describing the identity shift. So you're going to incorporate those observable micro shifts or your new posture. So for example, that would be my posture is grounded and my micro shift is I speak clearly and pause before answering. So when you are thinking about this, it's all about what is the transformation that is visible when your posture shifts your behavior. Okay. And so once you do those 2 initial inputs, again, you're defining the scene, which is where you are, the setting, and what you are doing, which is the action. And then you're going to put another statement that's incorporating your observable micro shift or your new posture. And once you do that, this is the prompt that you put down below. Generate a photograph of me looking like a leader in mid 2026. And it doesn't have to be looking like a leader, whatever you want to put there. Then you're going to describe the setting or scene from step 1. Look into your posture word and insert your identity descriptor, which is decisive, calm, however you want to present yourself. Okay. Once you do that and you press send or go or run rather, what AI is going to do, it's going to create a transformation snapshot. The resulting image is going to serve as your future identity snapshot. So you can, once again, use it as a digital screen background to constantly reinforce who you are becoming by mid 2026. This helps translate the identity shift into a sustained visual anchor that reinforces your progress. Okay, so I figured this would be a great last prompt exercise visually to help tie everything that we covered, at least for day 2, and sprinkling in a little bit of day 1. And with that said, I am going to turn it over back to Janine. Give me just a moment. And hold on.
Sure.
Nope, wrong one. Janine, all right.
All right. Awesome. Well, we have 4 minutes left. So I first want to say thank you to Arnetta, to Monique for joining me on this journey. It's been great from my perspective, from where I sit. I appreciate all of you for participating. That has also been just amazing. A lot of support, lots of love. Appreciate every last one of you for taking the time. And I hope that you see the value in what we've been building. So I just want you to know that everything that we've done in these last 2 days, it helps you identify what shaped you to where you are. And if we took the time to do this actually every year, we would have a completely different picture of ourselves, and we would have something to go into the following year, right? Every single year on December 31st into January 1st is a huge change, right? And we sit there and we wait and we say, Happy New Year, and all this energy and love. And I mean, it's just amazing. And then we wake up on January 1st and we expect everything to change because we said it or we thought it, right? And the reality is that's not how it happens. So this has now given us an opportunity to actually look into things from a completely different lens and prepare ourselves when we actually go into 2026. So super excited about that. I also want you to know that it's been exciting for me to be able to share what I've been working on, right? The Do It space. I did it quietly because I've been, trying to figure things out, my own as well, just kind of where I want to be. And I had this in my mind, and I knew that it was something that would help a lot of people. And so I wasn't quite sure how to bring it together. And that's been the journey that I've been on all year. And I said, what better way to kick it off? Because it's still, I'm still working on it. But I literally said, oh my gosh, like, what better way to do this and kick it off is looking at the year in review and bringing it into 2026. So I spoke to Arnetta and Monique, and I was like, hey, I have this idea. We can bring in AI and your change management. Arnetta, what do you think? And everybody was on board. So it just came together very nicely. The nice package that Monique had at the end there, it came together beautifully. So again, thank you. And the next thing that we have coming up for me, so I started this briefly talking about my book. And it's with the publishers, so it's well underway. Launching February 2nd is when my book will become available. And so you can see here that there is a link for you that you can go on, and this is also a QR code, right? So please go ahead and get the QR code, and this is for the wait list for when the book is released. So you guys will get first dibs. So excited about that. Another piece that I'm working on as well alongside the book is change assessment. And so if you've ever taken like Myers-Briggs or the DISC personality assessment, anything along those lines, I am creating one for change. So we'll have 8 archetypes and will help you determine how you navigate through change. So what is your change personality essentially? And I'll give you tools, full report so that you are prepared as you navigate life's wonderful changes and all that's to come. So look out for those in the pipeline. Of course, more workshops as well. So now that I have your information, I'll be stalking you like we did this time. So to make sure that we can get you guys into the various workshops that we have coming down in 2026. All right. So Arnetta, this is her information. I know a few people asked, want to get a hold of her. Cameron Consulting Partners is her company. There you have the link. And then Monique Johnson, Dilworth, right? Because she's married as well. So AI tools and tutorials, and that is the link to Monique's company. So please go ahead and take those down. As Monique said, we are going to provide you with all these documents. So I sent an email today with the workbook, the workable workbook, with the recording from yesterday, as well as the AI prompts. So if you didn't get it, apparently I'm hearing that there are some challenges that maybe it went to junk mail, because even when I sent the link for tonight's session, that apparently my email went to junk mail. So if you don't see it, check your junk mail if you don't see it by tomorrow afternoon. And then from tonight, you will get tonight's recording, the AI prompts as well, and how that you can get a hold of us, okay, in the event that you have any questions or need some additional services. All right. And at the end of this, you are going to be asked to complete a survey. Please, if you have a chance, please complete it. I'm also going to send a link, sorry for that, in the email that I sent. So if you don't have a chance to do it tonight, please go ahead and use the link. But we want your feedback, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all the wonderful feedback. So I see Natalie, thank you so much. Really appreciate you. You were great. I'm super excited, like I said, to actually have taken the steps. And I can tell you it was ugly. It was ugly in the beginning, but here we are tonight, right? So it was a process. But like I said, it would have never gotten this far if I didn't take the steps, right? So I'm excited that I did. So, all right, I see some little cute ones joining us here. Hi, Nova, and hi, Naya. We're waving. You guys have a good night, and we'll talk to you guys soon. We're gone. Bye. Have a great night. Thank you.